that and actually trying to innovate are two different things, right? So all of you must have gone through these phases of your career where you felt that, I want to actually do this in a different way, but. So here we are going to discuss what are those buts and how to overcome those. BUTS, okay? So, sorry, that was, okay. So basically what I am trying to do is, generally we have one PPT, a slide deck in place, and then the session starts. This time is going to be the other way around. We are going to discuss things. You people are going to send me your notes. The best notes that I get are going to get gifts tomorrow. So at least 3 people are going to be winners. Okay, so TIBCO has sponsored those 3 gifts, and so I'm happy to give them away to you. Okay, so now you should be ready with all your brain and pens and everything, so that you send me your notes and then tomorrow I'll get back to you. I hope you all know my email address. It is mail.mugdha, M-U-G-D-H-A @gmail.com. Okay, so let's start with the word innovation itself. What do you mean by innovation in the context of technical writing? It's an open discussion. I'm not going to give the answers. You are going to give me the answers. Doing things differently. Okay. So how so?
If we could come forward, it will be easier to pass the microphones. Yeah. As it is, I think we have limited attendance. So if everybody sort of comes together,
coming out with a solution which will help you to simplify the process, or that's what you're trying to come out with a solution which should be different, and it should also help you to reduce the cost or something like that. Means it should add value to your customer.
Right. So basically we are talking about some sort of value addition across all sorts of faculties. It might be processes, it might be your deliverable, or it might be the way you are authoring, or it might be even your team environment, right? Any more answers? Something new? Please pass on the mic. So just define any innovation in technical writing that you've done or you have experienced and appreciated.
So I worked on a script that would add tags to a framework of book, data tags. So we were going through this migration from frame to XML. So I wrote a macro to do that, which saved a lot of time.
Right. So whatever was a repetitive task, a manual task, you actually improved it so that it saved your time and also your energy, because you don't want to spend your energy in something menial. Great. Yes, Amrita?
I write design docs for developers who used to write those docs themselves. So I incorporate things like stories, like actual real life stories or examples or videos in design docs, which earlier used to be only in terms of code and implementations. So though it is not innovative as a tech writer, for my end audience it is completely new, that they didn't know that this can be done in this way. So I get a lot of appreciation for that.
That's a good example. Hemant?
Yeah. As per me, it's my personal opinion, innovation is, one is you fill gaps, and often when we say I did something new, you could be filling gaps. But for me, innovation is actually solving a problem, and it's a process which starts with an intent, then it's an incubation process, and then there's an outcome. Great. So your outcome should be something that solves a problem. It may not be new, it could be old, but it solves a problem. And how innovatively you solve a problem and what kind of impact you create, that essentially is an innovation.
Right. That's great. So, yeah, Meghna.
Innovation could also be thinking from a higher level, from a bird's eye view. For example, where am I as a technical writer in my organization, as well as in the industry, where, sometimes I feel other people think, the stakeholders, that we are becoming redundant. So for example, in my organization, we are moving to Agile, and where we are talking about not, having multi-specialities and all that. So the innovation I'm suggesting here, maybe I'm not the first one, but what I'm suggesting here is having small training modules for the people in the Scrum teams, so that whatever content they give is good enough to go. So you can curate it as writers, because we have very few writers in my organization, and the ratio of developers to writers is askew. So how best can I utilize that and make sure we still have jobs and we're not looking elsewhere for jobs? So this is also an innovation, I feel.
That's so true. I mean, it's not only about coming up with something new, unheard of. It's also something that's new to your organization or your way of working. It's not necessarily something, completely new, which nobody else has done ever. It's not so, isn't it? I mean, how many of you have, Abhay.
There are certain user pain areas which we come to know through specific channels, and then somehow in our day-to-day activities we are not able to cater that. True. And taking your time out from your regular activities and concentrating on those problems, solutions, that in itself is a way to innovate. I mean, may not be your regular day-to-day activity. Like I have done that through some of the support channels and through escalations. I've provided inputs, documentation, which is specific to the customers, and that might not be our regular roles and responsibilities, but still it helps and create an impact on the user as well as revenue.
True. What's happening? Yeah, Nisha.
And in my organization, we did something very interesting. Typical set of deliverables that we provide to our customers are in instructor-led trainings. Those are given by some product manager to the customer, and web helps, and and installation manual, operations manual, all that, what we thought of was, we wanted to add more value to our organization. So we had this TCS4 with us, right? So we were already creating instructor-led trainings. So we converted the training format to, and we had a lot of demos as well that we were providing to our customers of our product. So that, and those were used by our BizOps team to pitch the customer, to let them know about our the look and feel of our products, so we changed the format of instructor-led trainings to those were presentations, right? We used Presenter to convert it to web-based trainings, and we added voice as well to it. Right. So it worked really well. It was appreciated by our CEO too, and CEO, who is he's quite critical kind of person. He doesn't appreciate so easily. So, and then the customer also,
so basically you made the content more engaging.
Yeah.
And that's where actually the way Abhay was putting it, our regular roles and responsibilities, he is saying that we went beyond that, or we need to go beyond that. We are all talking about responsive documentation. We are all talking about user experience so much that I think in the next conference, I don't really know what will be our assumption with the word that's we are using so convincingly today, that our regular role and responsibilities. We don't really know what are going to be our regular roles and responsibilities. So yeah, innovation is everywhere around us, right? So even using videos or demos or creating customer forums, these are not the things that have never been done, but doing them in an environment where it was never done before might be an innovation, right? So what essentially do we need to innovate in the first place?
So Mugdha, I
Yeah,
just want
please.
to
Yeah.
add some to the general question of innovation that I think we discussed this earlier as well. So I'm reading a book called Language Instinct. I don't know how many people have read it, but there's a very interesting sentence in it saying that 90% of the time, every sentence that we speak or we utter is a new sentence. So we are innovating without realizing. I think innovation, like you said, is all around us, and probably we just need to take stock of it.
That's true. That's so true.
David,
David, yeah.
I want to share a point here actually. We are saying that innovation is all around us. It's everywhere we look at it and things like that. It is there, but am I thinking towards it? Him had mentioned about problem and finding a solution to it, right? Most of the times when there's a problem, I get stuck, right?
Okay.
So in order, as soon as I start, I try to find a solution. That's when I get into the thought process of innovation. It may not be out of this world. It could be a very simple thing. It could be as simple as you have around 500 HTML files and you need to remove www.abc.com with www.xyz.com.
Right.
One of the team members did at my organizations. With every known issue, what they did is that they provided the link to where the actual feature was documented. I mean, if there is some feature which is not working, the person went to the known issue and understood, and they tried to correlate with the UI, but they also provided a link to the existing documentation wherein the feature was originally documented. So they can make inside documentation itself, they could make a context of what should have been there and what is not there with the known issue. It's a very small thing.
So setting
like
the
that.
context right at the right time for the user
Exactly.
definitely helps. That's so true. So David, you didn't complete your point. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's more to do with this thought process. So innovation is more of a thought process where you think about and you want to find a solution and you will come up with a solution. The solution may have been provided by someone else or you may have created it. Not necessarily I am creating a solution also. I may build on an existing solution as well. But it is just the thought process. Okay? And we talk a lot about innovation. We talk.
Yes, we talk.
Right?
Yes.
Doing is a different thing altogether.
That's exactly where we need to lead to now.
Yes.
Because the next question that I was asking is exactly what do we need to innovate in the first place? Yeah, okay, yes. By the way, you people are taking notes, right? I mean, we are going to announce a winner. Whoever sends me good notes, the topmost contributors are going to get rewarded tomorrow. Yeah.
Here we have an event called Hackathon. So for 24 hours we work continuously and we come up with probably a solution which we already have a problem for that, or we come up with a new way of doing a task which, for example, we had a process which was taking 4 hours to complete a task, and we come up with in those 24 hours we come up with a solution which can do that in 1 hour. And that is actually helping. It has been 3 years in a row when we come up with that. In a normal scenario, the same kind of improvement in the product, it used to take 3 to 4 sprint, but in this kind of event, it is coming up in 1 night.
Right. And so pressure contributes.
It's not actually pressure. It's all about the involvement, because they have been given free hands, and no offense, but there are no managers on top of them to do that. Yet you have to do in this specific time period, and that's how they are doing it.
So do you mean that for innovation to really bloom in an organization, it should be more democratic and
Well,
yeah, please. No, Hemant is all geared up.
I'll just add one thing to that. Having a kind of open house for such kind of innovative ideas is always a good thing to have, where you just break free from the regular duties and you think of something else.
That's true. That's true.
So just to add to what he said, innovation should not be an objective of my performance evaluation. It needs to be your environment. It needs to be your atmosphere around it.
Yes,
to be very honest. So just to add before you go to the next part.
Creating videos, maybe somewhere we at the back of the mind think that we are making our lives easier, or we are just saving ourselves some way. We are trying to be in the lead, or to be current with the technical writing industry. But at the end of the day, what our role is to solve a user's problem. If it requires some more efforts, or say 4 more writers, we should be targeting towards that, not about just because industry today requires video development or video creation skills, and we should have that skill not because of that. We should have that skill because our users today actually need it, and how they need it and how they want to consume it.
Sometimes some innovations don't get unraveled only because of probably, we just assume that it's a problem, it's a pity problem, and we don't really need to do anything about it. So we just ignore it as a fact of life, right? And that's what probably David was talking about, that we assume it to be a fact of life when it's something that we can actually solve. So Kiranmai, yeah.
Okay. I wanted to answer your second question which you had asked. Okay. I have seen, I've been in the corporate strat plan and meetings and so on. There are 2 ways of looking at innovation. One is when we can make innovation from, we don't have to depend on the corporate vision and strategy. We can do it in-house for our ease and for the customer satisfaction, because we are looking at, ours is the first marketing material which goes out. So I'm looking at it that way. That is innovation from my side. That is my team innovation. But if I'm looking at corporate strategy, that might be different, and I need to have a sponsorship there and a champion. If I don't have that, then it's nullified for me. So my internal, I can do as much as innovation possible, but I might not get the visibility there for my team.
True. And the funding, yes. Okay. So there's, you and David, both of you reminded me of a very old story that I had read somewhere. It said that all the domestic appliances came into picture when the man of the house had to contribute to the house chores. Okay, because for women it was an assumption, this is how it should be done, this is how my mother was doing it, this is how my grandmother was doing it. So okay, this is the fact of my life, I need to do it this way. And then when men started staying alone in different cities and they would not get rotis, we got roti makers. Right? Yeah, they make better chefs. So the point here is not about men and women, it's about getting someone who is not from the same field to contribute to that field. So approaching something which is completely new. Yeah.
Your story only.
Yeah.
So for women it was never a problem to do all these things.
Yeah.
Right? And for men it was a problem. And that's the reason why the innovation. So I guess what we are looking at is not innovation, but trying to understand what is the real problem here. So maybe we should change this discussion and saying what are our problems?
Yes, exactly. So yeah.
I'll add one point on that. When we talk about innovation, it doesn't come, I mean, when you sit and you have an idea in mind, it sometimes strikes in your mind in really odd situations, that you are stuck somewhere and something comes into your mind. But as a good practice, I think building on top of that idea is something which we look forward. I'll quote one example, like Qualcomm had really good base when they developed CDMA technology and all. And around that CDMA patent which they filed for the first time, right now they have almost 2,000 patents on top of that technology, which is related to CDMA, but adding some values to that. Similarly, if you are having a really good idea, it could be a solution for one problem, but again, if you are improvising on top of that, how you are going to use the same kind of idea in other problems which might be similar in a different context, So that's how you improvise on the existing idea, and that's how you're going to grow.
That's true. So we are somehow figuring it out what it needs, what innovation needs. It needs some problems. We need to identify some problems first, right? And then we need to accept that these are our problems and we need to solve them. And then we actually come up with ideas, and then we also have to market those ideas as our innovations, right? So what holds us back sometimes, apart from realizing that it's a problem? After that role you also use.
What holds us back is the foundation. The very foundation that is required to suggest innovation.
Yes.
Like Hemant said, you can't sit and say, today I'm going to innovate. What's the problem? Let me think about what are the problems, identify and then solve them. It doesn't necessarily happen like that. It could just be a eureka moment.
Yes.
So what is very important is that the topmost people in your tech writing community in your organization should do this marketing that you mentioned way in advance.
Right.
So the internal stakeholders in your organization should be convinced that these people know what they are doing and they are doing the best. So when this innovative moment comes up, you've already created that base, that foundation. So that is one, and the other thing was democracy that somebody spoke about, which is very important. So it's not like I'm the manager, so I'm going to tell you, you innovate. So all my writers should have that democracy to come and say, hey Meghna, I've got a wacky idea, and Hemant has done that.
Yes,
so he's our star from our previous organization, and he had that foundation which was created by our manager, so his voice was heard.
Right.
And he did wonders. So that foundation has to be, that's not the responsibility of the innovator.
That's true, that's true.
So
yeah, of course we all, but then there's one question that I also want to ask here. We keep saying that we have innovative ideas and all that, but then on the other hand, I keep hearing that in India, people are afraid to ask questions, let alone express their ideas. So how true is that? Do you really think that in India we hesitate to express our ideas, or we are unable to think differently?
So yeah, I think...
Okay.
But if you have a manager who does not know technical writing and technical publications, this
Actually, yes, I was coming to that after that also. You know, when we talk about innovation, sometimes we forget that innovation is something very simple, and it happens a lot of times that we're just held, and you know, we wonder कि अच्छा मैं बोलूँगी तो क्या सोचेंगे, right? So this is exactly what you just said, right? We're always thinking about what will others think if I say this. So I'll give you an example. I work for a hardware company and we make power meters, and everybody knows QR codes, right? Everybody knows it. And we are sitting in a discussion, and one person just says that I want a QR code in the meter, and they just did some research, and we were like, what the hell, what QR code, kya bol raha hai yaar? And they ended up patenting it, right?
Yeah.
So and we were like, wow. I mean, I have QR code in my document and I never thought about it, and he has QR code in the meter, which almost everybody has in the document but not in the meter. So what happens is, there might be a lot of other people who must have thought of the same idea, but you're held back. You're like, acha, bolu, na bolu, what will they think about me? I know,
yeah,
right?
Thinking about the stupidity of the idea. That's so true. Roli. Yeah.
So I think she got to my point.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us do hold back. So that spark of courage is required. I think that is the key for you to innovate or to do anything differently. If you cannot have the courage to speak up and to be okay with being laughed at, I don't think that you can do anything different. And I mean, all of this discussion about getting the funding and getting the right environment and getting support from top management and everything, all of these things are extremely important. But all of these things together in humongous proportions can do nothing unless and until you have the courage to say, okay, I want to try something now.
So it starts with you. It doesn't start with, yeah, Abhay, you are saying environment, yes, but then environment comes later because you are also a contributor to the environment.
Not so good at marketing their ideas, but the managers have been
That's exactly what Meghna is saying, right? Just a minute, 10 minutes more, okay? Just 10 minutes more.
I'll add 2 examples for this part, that how you actually come up with this question or how we come up with a solution. I had a presentation a couple of minutes ago about tooltip automation. I didn't know anything about XML parsing, but there were some guys who knew it. I went to a manager that this is an idea I am looking forward and I need someone to help me. For him it was of no point. Then I went to a developer directly and I said, do you work on the GUI? He said yes. I said, do you know this idea can save your effort of the manually putting that information in the code? He said, what do you need from me? That was the answer. So that's how, I mean, it's also about where to approach that. You know that the right audience and you add to that. And I'll add one last example for the simplicity of the idea. I was working on some use case capture. I mean, I was capturing videos for the use case for the customer, which the customer specifically asked. And I thought that why can't I have that use case in the software itself rather than a context-sensitive help? I can have a context-sensitive video.
Great. Okay.
And we did a POC on top of that. We had a presentation regarding that in UA Europe this year in June. And I will say the R&D head of our unit, he said that I have never seen such kind of thing. It really sounds very simple, but I have never seen. Why can't you look into if you can file a patent for that? I searched in the patent database and I found Yahoo had actually patented that idea. So,
yeah,
I mean, it was so simple that we didn't ever think that it could be patented, but it is. That's how it is.
So basically, you actually touched upon a point that is very dear to my heart, that just, ideation, lateral thinking, creativity, all that is important. That's the first step. Later, you actually convert it to a solution, the idea, right? After, yes, once you convert it to a solution, it's the prototype that you are going to create. Okay, once you create that prototype, your manager didn't listen to you, but the developer listened to you. So that helped you prove your point to your manager. That is actually showing the business value of that prototype, right? And after that comes the most important fact of life. You need to deliver it consistently. So that is something that you are creating a user base for your innovation. So if you are successful in creating that user base, that's where actually the innovation cycle of that innovation is complete, right? Yeah, please.
So in BMC we have this event called as Buzzinga. So people didn't like the name Buzzinga.
So you are all Sheldon Coopers there.
Yeah. So the event was around for technical writers and technical communicators. We don't call ourselves writers. Yeah. So the idea was that every person had a chance to go and identify a problem. We were given 3 months. Go out there, identify a problem, come up with a solution. It's a contest. So what you're going to do is you'll come up with a solution. After the solution is kind of approved, philosophically it's correct, then you get a sponsor. So after you get a sponsor, you get to prototype that idea. Once you get to prototype that idea, then that idea goes to the next level, wherein the India CEO would review your idea. So the India CEO reviews an idea, you win an award, and your idea gets implemented. So for last 2 years we are doing this contest. One of it would be presented tomorrow, and other maybe for next conference by a different writer. So it's not that one person is doing it, it spreads. So the first time when it did it, it was not an easy process. So as you mentioned, people made fun of you. A lot of people laughed on you. It was difficult. For the first idea to get through, it took us 2 years. Right. And after it got accepted, within 6 months, it's become a fire. Now everyone wants it.
Right.
So for technical communicators, it's going to require a lot of patience, because no one really listens to us within an organization, and we really have to push hard. But the first push you make, then boss, you're the star.
But sometimes the managers are worried that once you release it to the world, to the development community in your organization, everybody would want that, and then they'll say, don't make it public yet. Don't make it public yet. Do you face that? Because the pressures that the managers are facing are also real, right? You can't really.
No.
Yeah, no, it's not fair for the managers, because they know that this.
No, but here is a decision they have to make. Is this thing solving a problem? Yes, if it's solving a problem, let's do the right thing. Why waste time on doing something?
Yeah, as I said,
right.
Four writers, why not do it rather than holding ourselves back?
That's true.
So Mukta, can I speak to your point about managers
yes, sure.
holding back ideas? So I think managers understand the business, and that's the only place where they could create an obstacle. And they don't.
When someone motivates me, it pumps me up totally. Yes, but then I have to be self-motivated as well.
Yes. In 2008's STC conference, the one thought that I had left with was nobody else can motivate you.
Yes.
It was a manager's workshop, I think, and she said nobody else can motivate you. Motivation is not something external, it has to come from within, right? So now we have to wrap up this session, okay? It's just 5 minutes. So now I want one of you to go through the entire discussion that we did and tell me what should be the outcome of this discussion. Any one of you. Probably someone who hasn't spoken much.
I just want to say something about innovation. I mean, what I feel about innovation in India. I mean, I feel global innovation index is, for India is very low. I mean, however, other countries like Europe and they are very high on global innovation index. So I feel what we don't do, a lot of things happen in India that don't happen outside India at all. But what we don't think about is there are lots of we have sometimes a lot of ideas, but we don't get them patented, you know.
Right.
I mean, that's again, I mean, if you're doing something which is really adding value to the business and is really a unique idea, I mean, you should always consider
patenting it or making it formal and recognizable after years. Yes. Yeah, so someone to wrap up the discussion. Yes, Aijaz, you're not going to wrap up, okay? Yeah, please, you'll wrap up. Thanks, Rolly.
Recently I attended a lecture by Professor B.K. Chakravarti at IIT Bombay. He's a design innovator, so-called. And he designed the L&T, all these petrol pump dispensers and all that. So when he started designing it, he went to the petrol pump, he filled in the petrol himself just to know what are the problems, and then he innovated. So what he says is, innovation is not just out of the hat. You need to have 4, 5, 10 ideas and then cut down into 3 or 2 and then just kind of work on one. It is not just like one fine day you get an idea and you just start working on it.
That's so true. That's where lateral
and also getting to know the user's requirement. He filled in the petrol, he got to know the problems, what are the problems that people are facing while filling in the petrol, and then he redesigned the petrol dispenser. That's how it is.
We'll really have to wrap up, right? Okay, the last comment and then over to Rolly.
To that, someone once said that if you are really thinking about innovative idea, you have a problem statement. Whatever comes to your mind very first or second or very obvious thing, that's not innovative because someone else might have thought about that.
Okay.
So that is something also, because I have a problem that I cannot go through this. I have to remove this chair from there. So whatever solution that comes to my mind, it will come to the others as well who are having the same issue.
But then if there is a simple solution,
yes,
why
there is a solution. That's why I said that to resolve an issue, you have multiple solutions. There are 2 ways you can innovate. First, you are the first one to have that problem, or you have the best idea to solve that problem. So that's how.
Okay, great, nice, nice take. So, Rolly. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just summarize my takeaway. One, we should not be just accepting any problem. Learn to face them and recognize that there will be a solution, and then brood over that idea. Build it inside you, and then have the courage to speak up, yes. But like everybody said, that you also must recognize that there is the need for the right environment, the right audience, the right funding, the right support. So if you really feel that your idea is worthwhile, then make sure that you are saying it to the right people at the right time and in the right fashion. Like, so marketing gimmicks or tactics or strategies, whatever, but we have to
You need
employ
to
those.
showcase it.
Yes.
Yes.
And then my little bit, we are communicators. If we cannot communicate our ideas to other people and convince them, then there's something seriously wrong with us.
Yes, definitely. So I'm really thankful to all of you because you all have been such an intuitive audience. I mean, I had taken some, I had put some flow to my discussion, you know, and I was like hoping that if at all the discussion stalls, I'll be asking this question, but before I ask the question, you people were already there. So thanks so much. Yeah, this is
what we need more at STC when it comes to confidence. And I just had one suggestion for STC because you were here. We've been talking of videos, we've been talking of graphics, we've been talking of a lot of different things that we need to do as technical communicators. Next conference, I would be really happy if there's a filmmaker who comes, if there's an animator who comes for a keynote, because that is where we are heading. We as technical writers, we are falling short of those skills and we need to look out.
That's true.
And there's no harm in looking out. Just what he said, incremental. Just take ideas from them, no?
Okay, so the outcome of this session, at least I will try and keep this in mind, and yeah, I promise at least I'll work on it.
A simple theatre workshop.
Yes.
I can do voiceover for my videos.
Right, right. So the session that Makarand had taken this year, the first session that we had in our regional, local sessions was about this, how to give voiceovers and how to create videos, and it was a wonderful session. So yes, we need such more hands-on sessions, if that's the thing that you mean. Yes, definitely we'll try for that. So that's the outcome for STC. Now think about something for yourself. There might be some idea that you are already developing. Try to go in the next step. Try to build the business value. If you are already done with that, try to patent it. Try for consistent deliveries. And next year when we meet, do tell us about it.
I think one way of doing it is, if you have some idea, bounce it off on the technical communicators.
That's what. So do come next time and tell us about your ideas.
Not only here, I mean, not only later,
Everywhere.
but anywhere. Just
Right.
bounce it so that you will know whether if we are going to rather we must be able to implement it even in our products or documentation, whatever we do. It's going to be a general process, right?
Yes. So
yeah, that's right. That you can't paint
So
it.
let's end it with this thought. I think let's end it with this thought that collaboration within the organization as well as collaboration outside the organization is going to be extremely essential for all of us to be innovative in the near future. So let's hope that we keep up this promise to ourselves and we really collaborate without the boundaries of cities and roles and responsibilities. Sure? Thanks so much for a wonderful contribution from all of you.
Thank you very much. Next session is mine. I thought they are welcoming me.
Okay, yeah, they are welcoming
You thought they are clapping for you.
I thought
That was innovative. That was innovative. All right. May I request Kiranmai to please give a memento to Mugdha?